Welcome back to Void of Fears. Before we jump into today's story, I've got to ask for a quick favour. If you could smash that like button, drop a comment below, and hit subscribe if you haven't already. It seriously makes a huge difference. YouTube's algorithm loves that stuff, and it pushes my videos to new viewers who might dig these stories too. I really appreciate every single one of you who takes the time to do that. It means the world to me and helps keep this channel growing. Alright, enough of me rambling. Let's dive into today's story. The ancient mahogany desk in Dr. John Carter's Cambridge office had witnessed countless late nights over the past 3 decades, its polished surface scarred by coffee rings and the weight of archaeological mysteries that refused to yield their secrets. Tonight was no different. Scattered across the weathered wood lay photographs, blueprints, astronomical calculations, and fragments of obsidian that had become Carter's obsession. Ancient stone circles that seemed to mock everything mainstream academia believed about our primitive ancestors. Carter removed his wire-rimmed glasses and rubbed his tired eyes. The digital clock on his computer screen read 2:47 a.m., but sleep felt impossible when faced with the implications of his latest discoveries. At 41, he had earned international recognition as the world's leading expert on megalithic structures, yet that recognition felt increasingly hollow when every excavation, every measurement, every carbon dating result raised more questions than answers. The wall behind his desk displayed a career's worth of achievements: framed photographs from Stonehenge, Göbekli Tepe, the Ring of Brodgar, Newgrange, and dozens of lesser-known sites across 6 continents. Each image represented years of meticulous research, yet collectively they painted a picture that challenged the fundamental timeline of human development. How had Bronze Age peoples achieved astronomical alignments accurate to within fractions of degrees? Why did these monuments appear across the globe with striking mathematical similarities built by cultures that supposedly never made contact? Most disturbing of all, why did computer modelling suggest these sites had been designed to track celestial objects that weren't visible to the naked eye until modern telescopes revealed their existence? Carter's latest research focused on what he privately called the pulsar problem. 17 megalithic sites across 4 continents showed alignment patterns that corresponded to pulsar positions, rotating neutron stars that emit radio pulses with clockwork precision. But pulsars weren't discovered until 1967, and their exact locations required sophisticated radio telescopes to determine. Yet somehow Stone Age builders had incorporated pulsar coordinates into monuments built thousands of years before the invention of the wheel. The academic establishment dismissed his findings as coincidence or selective interpretation. 3 major archaeological journals had rejected his latest paper on megalithic astronomical correlations, with reviewers calling his conclusions speculative, beyond the bounds of responsible scholarship. The rejection stung, but Carter knew his calculations were correct. Someone in humanity's distant past had possessed astronomical knowledge that exceeded modern capabilities. Outside his office window, Cambridge slept peacefully. Gas lamps cast flickering shadows across cobblestone streets, while the occasional student wandered home from late-night study sessions. This comfortable world of academic tradition felt increasingly alien to Carter as his research pushed him toward conclusions that challenged everything he had been taught about human history. The shrill ring of his office telephone shattered the midnight silence. Carter glanced at the caller ID, recognizing the international code for the United States. Who would be calling from America at this hour? Dr. Carter speaking. The voice that responded carried the measured cadence of someone accustomed to delivering classified information. Dr. Carter, this is Dr. Patricia Williams, Director of Lunar Operations at NASA's Johnson Space Center. I apologize for the late hour, but we have a situation that requires your immediate attention. Are you alone? Carter straightened in his chair, suddenly alert. Yes, I'm alone. What kind of situation? The kind that doesn't exist in any official capacity. Dr. Carter, I've reviewed your entire body of research on megalithic astronomical alignments. Your work on pulsar correlations in ancient sites is remarkably prescient. We need someone with your specific expertise for a mission that begins in 72 hours. Can you be in Houston tomorrow evening? I'm afraid I don't understand. What does NASA want with an archaeologist? Williams paused, and Carter could hear electronic interference in the background, the white noise of secure communication systems. Dr. Carter, are you familiar with your astronaut certification status? The question caught Carter off guard. 15 years earlier, he had participated in NASA's discontinued Interplanetary Archaeological Survey program, designed to train archaeologists for potential missions to investigate artificial structures on Mars. The program had been quietly cancelled when budget cuts eliminated funding for Mars exploration, but Carter had completed the full certification process. My astronaut status expired years ago. Actually, it didn't. Due to an administrative oversight, your certifications were renewed automatically every 5 years. According to our records, you're currently qualified for Class 2 deep space missions. Dr. Carter, we need someone who understands ancient astronomical sites and can survive in a hostile environment. Pack for an extended absence from Earth. The line went dead, leaving Carter staring at his phone in bewilderment. He looked around his cluttered office, at the photographs of stone circles and the calculations that had consumed his life. Whatever NASA wanted, it was connected to his research on ancient astronomical sites. The timing felt too coincidental to dismiss. Carter spent the rest of the night arranging temporary coverage for his classes and securing his research materials. By morning, he was on a flight to Houston, watching the English countryside disappear beneath clouds while questions multiplied in his mind. NASA's interest in his work suggested they had discovered something that required archaeological expertise combined with space flight capability, an intersection of skills so specific it bordered on impossible. Johnson Space Center had changed dramatically since Carter's last visit 15 years earlier. New security barriers surrounded the facility, and military personnel had replaced civilian guards at every checkpoint. Carter's clearance process required biometric scanning, background verification, and a psychological evaluation that felt more suited to intelligence work than scientific collaboration. Dr. Patricia Williams met him in the Classified Operations Wing, a fortress-like complex that hadn't existed during Carter's previous NASA involvement. Williams appeared to be in her late 40s with prematurely grey hair and the focused intensity of someone carrying significant responsibility. She led Carter through corridors lined with armed guards and electronic surveillance equipment. Dr. Carter, what I'm about to show you is classified at the highest levels of national security. Fewer than 20 people worldwide are aware of this information. Before we proceed, you need to understand that your involvement in this mission is voluntary, but once you see what we've discovered, you'll be bound by secrecy agreements that extend for the rest of your life. Carter nodded, though unease settled in his stomach like a cold stone. I understand. Williams activated a holographic display system that filled the briefing room with a three-dimensional image of the moon's far side. The familiar scarred landscape rotated slowly, revealing the ancient impact craters and volcanic plains that had remained hidden from human eyes for all of history until the space age. 6 months ago, our advanced lunar reconnaissance mission detected anomalous structures in the South Pole-Aitken Basin using enhanced ground-penetrating radar and spectroscopic analysis. What you're about to see has never been photographed by civilian equipment or acknowledged in any public documentation. The holographic moon zoomed in on the massive impact crater, the largest known in the solar system. As the image resolution increased, Carter felt his breath catch in his throat. Rising from the lunar regolith, in perfect geometric arrangement, stood unmistakable stone structures, a circle of monoliths that dwarfed anything he had studied on Earth. "This is impossible," Carter whispered, leaning forward to examine the formations. Even through holographic reproduction, their deliberate construction was obvious. The moon has no indigenous civilization, no geological processes that could create such precise arrangements. Williams manipulated the display, revealing additional angles and enhanced spectral analysis data. Each monolith stands approximately 40 feet tall and 12 feet in diameter. The circle spans nearly 400 yards across. Most importantly, preliminary isotopic analysis suggests these formations predate the lunar surface itself. The implications hit Carter like a physical blow. That's impossible. The moon's crust formed over 4 billion years ago during the solar system's early bombardment period. Nevertheless, our dating techniques indicate the stone composition is significantly older than the surrounding bedrock. Dr. Carter, we need someone who understands ancient construction techniques, astronomical alignments, and the purpose of megalithic sites. Your archaeological background combined with your astronaut certification makes you uniquely qualified for this mission. Carter studied the images with growing amazement and terror. The lunar stone circle displayed the same mathematical precision he had discovered in Earth's ancient monuments, but on a scale that suggested construction capabilities far exceeding anything in human history. Who else knows about this discovery? The mission crew, myself, NASA Administrator Richardson, and select individuals within the Department of Defense. The discovery is considered a matter of national security due to its implications for our understanding of intelligence in the solar system. Williams activated additional displays showing crew profiles and mission specifications. Project Selene 9 launches in 60 hours aboard the deep space vessel Odyssey. Your crewmates have been selected for their specific expertise in areas we believe will be crucial for investigating these formations. The crew profiles revealed the mission's unprecedented nature. Dr. David Hill, the mission geologist, had spent 8 years studying extraterrestrial rock formations and possessed encyclopedic knowledge of lunar geology. His doctoral thesis on impact crater formation had established him as the leading expert on the moon's geological history. Ben Foster brought expertise in both advanced systems, engineering, and historical construction techniques, a combination that reflected NASA's conviction they were dealing with artificial structures created by unknown intelligence. His background included reverse engineering ancient Roman concrete formulations and analysing the construction methods used in megalithic sites across Europe. Dr. Elena Torres would serve as communications specialist, with advanced training in signal analysis and cryptography. Her presence suggested NASA expected to encounter some form of communication system or encoded information at the lunar site. Dr. Lisa Park provided medical support, but her specialization in neurology and psychological trauma indicated concerns about the mental health effects of the mission. Carter wondered what psychological hazards NASA anticipated on the moon's far side. Carter spent the next 2 days in intensive mission preparation, relearning systems and procedures that had gathered dust in his memory for 15 years. The Odyssey represented cutting-edge aerospace technology, a hybrid spacecraft capable of both lunar landing and extended deep space operation. Its design incorporated radiation shielding, life support redundancy, and communication arrays powerful enough to maintain contact with Earth across interplanetary distances. The mission briefings revealed details that made Carter question the scope of what they were attempting. The stone circle occupied only the visible portion of what appeared to be a vast underground complex. Preliminary scans suggested chambers, passages, and structural elements extending deep into the lunar crust, a construction project that would have required decades or centuries to complete. Dr. Carter, Williams said during their final briefing, I want you to understand the historical significance of what you're about to investigate. If these structures prove to be artificial, they represent the first confirmed evidence of non-terrestrial intelligence in our solar system. The implications for human understanding of our place in the universe are profound. The Odyssey launched on a Tuesday morning under complete media blackout and military security that extended far beyond normal NASA protocols. Even within the space agency, fewer than 50 people knew the mission's true objectives. Cover stories described Selene 9 as a routine geological survey mission, but the presence of armed security personnel and communications jamming equipment suggested something far more significant. As Earth dwindled behind them, Carter found himself alternating between excitement and existential dread. Every ancient site he had studied seemed to whisper the same impossible question: who had possessed the knowledge to build such precise astronomical instruments thousands of years before human civilization should have been capable of such achievements? Now, travelling toward the moon's hidden side, he sensed he was approaching the answer to that question, and feared what that answer might reveal about humanity's true origins and place in cosmic history. The 3-day journey to lunar orbit passed in a blur of system checks, crew coordination, and growing anticipation. Carter spent hours studying the enhanced imagery of the stone circle, noting details that became more disturbing with each examination. The monuments weren't randomly placed. They followed mathematical principles that matched the astronomical alignments he had discovered in Earth's megalithic sites. "John, you need to see this," Hill called from the navigation station as they achieved lunar orbit. "We're getting detailed surface scans of the landing site now." The high-resolution imagery revealed complexities that made Carter's archaeological training feel woefully inadequate. The stone circle wasn't merely a ring of standing monoliths. It was a sophisticated three-dimensional astronomical instrument. Each monument bore carved surfaces that reflected starlight in precise angles, creating a geometric star map that tracked celestial movements with accuracy that exceeded the capabilities of modern observatories. "Look at the surface detail," Foster pointed to enhanced thermal imaging of the monuments. "Those aren't random textures or erosion patterns. Someone carved detailed information into every surface." Torres studied electromagnetic readings from her communications console. "I'm detecting faint but definite artificial signals originating from the site. Very low frequency, very faint, but definitely not natural background radiation." Carter stared at the images, his mind racing through possibilities that challenged everything he understood about the timeline of intelligence in the universe. "Eleanor, how long have these signals been active?" "Unknown. We only detected them when our instruments achieved sufficient proximity and sensitivity. The emissions could have been broadcasting for centuries or millennia." The South Pole-Aitken Basin revealed itself gradually as they descended towards the far side. 4 billion years ago, an asteroid the size of a small country had torn this massive crater from the lunar surface in a collision so violent it nearly penetrated the moon's entire crust. The impact had exposed mantle material that still bore the thermal and structural scars of that primordial catastrophe. Within that ancient wound, impossibly, stood monuments that suggested intelligence had visited this cosmic battlefield and chosen it as the site for something of tremendous significance. The Odyssey touched down on the basin's floor during the early hours of lunar dawn. Unlike Earth's gradual sunrise, the moon's negligible atmosphere provided no transitional illumination. Harsh shadows gave way instantly to brilliant light, revealing the stone circle in its full, impossible majesty. Carter's first steps onto the lunar surface carried him toward the nearest monolith with the reverence of someone approaching a cathedral. Even through his environmental suit, he felt dwarfed by the structure's overwhelming presence. The stone rose before him like a black mirror, its surface covered in intricate carvings that seemed to shift and flow in the stark lunar light. David, Ben, Eleanor, Lisa, everyone needs to document these markings, Carter transmitted, running his gloved hands across the carved surface. These aren't random decorations or erosion patterns. These are detailed astronomical charts showing stellar positions and celestial mechanics. The engravings depicted pulsar positions with mathematical precision that literally took Carter's breath away. Each carving showed not just the current position of these cosmic lighthouses, but their locations throughout historical periods extending back tens of thousands of years. The computational precision required for such calculations exceeded anything humanity was currently capable of achieving. The positioning data is incredible, Hill observed, taking detailed photographs of every carved surface. These charts show pulsar locations from approximately 20,000 years ago, with predictive calculations extending into the far future. Whoever created this understood neutron star mechanics better than we do today. Carter felt the familiar mixture of discovery, excitement, and existential terror that had driven his entire career. 20 millennia ago, humans were hunter-gatherers, struggling to master basic agriculture, tool-making, and written language. Yet, someone had been mapping the universe with precision that made modern astrophysics look primitive by comparison. The implications challenged not just archaeology and anthropology, but humanity's fundamental understanding of its place in cosmic history. If these monuments were genuine, and the evidence suggested they absolutely were, then intelligence far exceeding human capabilities had been active in Earth's solar system throughout the entire span of human development. Foster's ground-penetrating radar equipment revealed the true scope of their discovery. Beneath the stone circle's center lay not just a single chamber, but multiple levels of chambers, connected by passages that extended deep into the lunar crust. The underground complex appeared to be vast, representing an engineering project that would have required decades or centuries to complete, using methods that left no identifying tool marks on the impossibly hard stone. "We need to access that central chamber complex," Carter declared, though something in his voice carried reluctance that surprised him. 3 decades of archaeological training had taught him to approach ancient sites with scientific reverence and methodical caution. But this felt fundamentally different, dangerous in ways his rational mind couldn't articulate, but his instincts recognized as genuine threat. The drilling process to access the sealed chambers consumed an entire lunar day cycle. Modern diamond-tip boring equipment, designed to penetrate the hardest materials known to science, struggled against stone that seemed to possess properties beyond normal mineral composition. Analysis revealed the monoliths were carved from anorthosite, genuine lunar rock formed during the moon's earliest geological periods, but somehow compressed and treated through unknown processes that had enhanced its structural integrity far beyond natural formation limits. "This is impossible," Hill muttered, studying spectroscopic analysis of the stone samples. "The molecular structure has been altered at the atomic level. Someone used techniques we don't understand to transform ordinary rock into something approaching the hardness of diamond while maintaining workability for detailed carving." When Foster's drill bit finally penetrated the central chamber's seal, a puff of ancient atmosphere escaped, gas that had been trapped in the underground complex since before human civilization began its earliest development. Torres's atmospheric analysis equipment revealed a composition that matched no known planetary environment. Extremely high concentrations of noble gases that shouldn't exist in such combinations without artificial processing and containment. "The atmosphere down there was artificially created," Torres reported. "Someone built a sealed environment with a custom atmospheric mix designed for something." The gas composition suggests beings that required different breathing conditions than humans or any known Earth life form. The chamber that awaited them redefined Carter's understanding of what was architecturally and technologically possible. Walls lined with natural iron glass beads created a vault that sparkled like the interior of a massive geode when their helmet lights illuminated the space. These formations occurred during the moon's violent early period, when volcanic activity had shaped much of the satellite's current surface, but the chamber's construction had clearly occurred much later, carved from already cooled rock with precision that seemed to exceed the capabilities of any known technology. At the center of the space sat a structure that made Carter question his grip on reality. Black as the deepest regions of space itself, the altar-like formation seemed to absorb their lights rather than reflect them, creating a zone of absolute darkness that seemed to draw illumination from the surrounding environment. Its surface bore carvings with the same astronomical precision as the external monument, but these engravings depicted something that sent ice through Carter's veins and challenged his understanding of Earth's astronomical history. The artwork showed Earth as viewed from this exact lunar position, but not the Earth of contemporary times. The planet in these ancient images hung beneath two moons, one familiar, one significantly smaller satellite that no longer existed anywhere in the skies above their homeworld. The carving suggested that whoever created these monuments had personally witnessed Earth during a period when its satellite configuration differed dramatically from modern astronomical reality. "This is absolutely impossible," Hill whispered, studying the dual moon imagery with growing confusion and fear. Earth has never had two natural satellites during any documented geological period. Our computer models show that two moons of the sizes depicted here couldn't maintain stable orbits around Earth for more than a few thousand years before collision or ejection would occur. Carter reached toward the altar's surface, compelled by an urge he couldn't explain or resist. The moment his environmentally suited fingers made contact with the ancient stone, his suit's environmental sensors registered an immediate temperature drop of 22 degrees Fahrenheit. The thermal anomaly affected only his equipment. His crewmates' readings remained perfectly normal, despite standing mere feet away in the same sealed environment. "John, your suit temperature just plummeted dramatically," Torres called from the Odyssey, monitoring their biometric feeds through the communication link. "But I'm not reading any environmental changes in the chamber that would cause such a severe, localized effect." Carter pulled his hand back from the altar surface, but the temperature drop persisted around his environmental suit like an invisible field of absolute cold. Something about the altar was actively drawing heat from his immediate vicinity, creating a thermal anomaly that followed him as he moved around the chamber. His breath fogged his helmet visor, despite the suit's climate control systems working at maximum capacity to compensate for the mysterious heat drain. "There's something else," Foster announced, scanning the chamber walls with enhanced detection equipment that revealed subsonic vibrations originating from far deeper levels of the underground complex. "I'm picking up mechanical activity below us. The frequency matches the electromagnetic emissions we detected from orbit, but much stronger now that we're in direct proximity." Park, monitoring everyone's medical status, noted alarming readings from Carter's biometric sensors. "John, your body temperature is dropping despite your suit's heating systems. Your heart rate is elevated, and I'm seeing unusual brainwave patterns that don't match normal stress responses." Carter felt something changing in his mind as he stood near the altar. Memories that weren't his own began surfacing. Images of this chamber during its construction, operated by tall figures with elongated limbs who moved with impossible grace in the moon's low-gravity environment. The visions felt more like recovered memories than imagination, as if proximity to the altar was unlocking information somehow encoded in his DNA. Back aboard the Odyssey that evening, Torres made a discovery that transformed their understanding of what they were investigating. Her sophisticated communications array had intercepted transmissions that violated every known principle of physics and astronomy, faint but undeniably artificial radio pulses matching the precise frequency of PSRB 1257 plus 12, a pulsar located 26 light-years from Earth in the constellation Virgo. But the natural rhythm of the neutron star's rotation had been subtly altered by additional beats, woven into the signal pattern, with mathematical precision that suggested intelligence far exceeding human capabilities. "This transmission is definitely artificial," Torres reported during their evening crew briefing, her voice carrying barely suppressed excitement and terror. "Someone or something is using the pulsar's natural frequency as a carrier wave for additional information. The modulation pattern repeats every 47 minutes and 13 seconds, with mathematical progressions that indicate highly advanced computational abilities." Carter felt pieces of an impossible puzzle beginning to align in his mind with terrifying clarity. The stone circle's precise astronomical orientation towards specific pulsars, the chamber's focus on stellar mechanics and celestial navigation, the artificial signals now reaching their equipment from interstellar space. Everything pointed toward a communication system designed to operate across the vast distances between stars, using the universe's most reliable natural timekeepers as reference points for navigation and coordination. "Eleanor, how long have these modified signals been active?" "Unknown with certainty, but signal analysis suggests they've been broadcasting consistently for a very long time. The mathematical complexity and signal strength indicate this isn't a recent phenomenon. We're detecting the continuation of transmissions that may have been active for centuries or millennia." Hill studied the pulsar data with growing amazement. PSRB 1257 plus 12 is one of the most precisely timed pulsars in our local galactic region. If someone wanted to send navigation coordinates or timing signals across interstellar distances, that pulsar would be an ideal choice as a cosmic lighthouse. Sleep became increasingly elusive for the entire crew as their mission extended into its second week on the lunar surface. Carter found himself experiencing dreams with vivid clarity that felt more like recovered historical memories than random neural activity generated by his sleeping brain. He stood on prehistoric Earth under alien skies where two moons cast double shadows across landscapes dotted with massive stone circles identical to the monuments they were investigating. Figures moved in those visions. Tall, elongated beings with impossibly long fingers and enlarged craniums who directed smaller, more human-like workers in the construction of astronomical monuments. The tall figures possessed technology that seemed indistinguishable from magic. Stones that lifted themselves into position at mental command, tools that shaped solid rock like clay, devices that measured stellar positions with perfect accuracy across thousands of years. The dreams always concluded the same way. The tall figures retreating into underground chambers, while the human-like workers departed across primordial landscapes toward distant continents, as if some great separation had divided two populations that had previously coexisted. One ascending to technological capabilities that allowed travel between stars, one remaining to develop gradually into modern humanity over tens of thousands of years. During his waking hours, Carter caught himself reciting detailed astronomical data from ancient skies, star positions, planetary alignments, and pulsar coordinates he had never studied or consciously learned. The information seemed to flow from deep recesses of his mind, as if proximity to the lunar monuments had somehow unlocked genetic memories buried in human DNA throughout countless generations. Dr. Park began documenting increasingly concerning symptoms among the entire crew. Severe headaches, frequent nosebleeds, and episodes of temporal disorientation were becoming common, despite their radiation exposure remaining well within acceptable limits for lunar surface operations. Most disturbing were the sleep recordings that showed crew members moving about both the ship and the lunar surface during rest periods, with no conscious memory of their nocturnal activities. Something is definitely affecting our neurological functions, Park reported privately to Carter during a medical consultation that revealed disturbing test results. The symptoms don't match any known form of space-related medical condition or psychological disorder. Brain scans show highly unusual activity in regions associated with memory formation, pattern recognition, and inherited behavioral responses. Carter reviewed the medical data with growing alarm. The neural activity patterns showed striking similarities to documented cases of genetic memory syndrome, an extremely rare condition where individuals seemed to access experiences and knowledge from previous generations encoded in their DNA. But this phenomenon was affecting the entire crew simultaneously, suggesting an environmental trigger rather than coincidental genetic predisposition. It's as if our minds are being influenced or activated by some external stimulus connected to the monuments, Park continued. The brainwave patterns resemble those seen in deep meditation or hypnotic states, but occurring involuntarily and increasing in intensity the more time we spend near the stone circle. Seismic equipment placed around the monument began detecting vibrations that originated from deep beneath the lunar surface, far below even the chamber complex they had discovered. The tremors followed no pattern related to thermal expansion, meteor impacts, tidal forces from Earth, or any known lunar geological processes. Instead, they pulsed in perfect rhythm with the artificial signals Torres had been monitoring, as if something massive and mechanical far below was responding to the cosmic transmissions with steadily increasing activity levels. The vibrations are getting stronger every day, Foster reported during their 15th day on the surface, his voice carrying barely concealed anxiety. Whatever's generating them is becoming more active. The seismic signature suggests movement in chambers or mechanisms we haven't even discovered yet, possibly extending kilometers into the lunar crust. The relay satellite that maintained their crucial communication link with Earth failed catastrophically on their 18th day, without any warning or detectable cause. One moment they were receiving routine status updates and scientific data transmission confirmations from mission control. The next they found themselves completely isolated on the moon's hidden side with no way to contact home or call for rescue if their mission encountered serious problems. Diagnostic attempts revealed total system failure across all satellite functions, though no debris, collision evidence, or equipment malfunction could be detected. The satellite had simply stopped working, as if someone had flipped a switch to sever their connection to Earth at the precise moment their investigation was revealing the most significant discoveries. Cut off from Earth and facing an increasingly active alien site that seemed to be responding to their presence, Carter felt the weight of command and decision-making settling on his shoulders like a physical burden. His archaeological expertise had prepared him for many types of discoveries, but not for the possibility that humanity's most ancient monuments had been constructed as landing beacons for entities that were never meant to remain in deep space forever. Carter became obsessed with deciphering the complete star chart system carved into every surface of the monuments. He spent entire shifts studying the carved surfaces with magnifying equipment, convinced that the astronomical predictions contained detailed warnings about something approaching Earth from the deepest regions of interstellar space. His daily mission logs, recorded for NASA documentation, grew increasingly erratic and filled with complex calculations that seemed to predict celestial convergences and stellar alignments decades into the future. The stones aren't just monuments, observatories, or religious sites, Carter recorded in his 31st daily log, his voice carrying an edge of growing paranoia and desperate urgency. Their countdown timers and navigation beacons rolled into one massive system. Someone left incredibly detailed instructions about something that was approaching from deep space, something that would arrive when very specific stellar alignments occurred that happen only once every 26,000 years. His analysis suggested the stone circle represented the culmination of a plan that had been in motion for geological ages, not just a monument to commemorate past events, but an active system designed to guide something home across the vast emptiness between stars. Hill's discovery of additional chamber complexes came almost by accident, while taking deep core samples to analyze the geological composition beneath the monument foundations. His drill bit struck hollow space 17 feet below the main chamber floor, revealing a narrow passage that led to chambers extending far deeper into the moon's interior than any of their preliminary surveys had suggested. The underground complex proved to be vast beyond their wildest expectations, honeycombing the crater floor with passages, chambers, and structural elements that represented centuries of construction work by beings with capabilities that exceeded human engineering by several orders of magnitude. The skeletal remains they discovered in the lower chambers shattered every assumption Carter had made about the site's origins and purpose. The bones were humanoid in basic structure, but physiologically wrong in ways that made his skin crawl. Fingers elongated far beyond human proportions, skulls enlarged and adapted for low-gravity environments, rib cages expanded for processing atmospheric conditions different from Earth normal. Most disturbing was their preservation state. The remains had gradually fused with lunar rock over vast spans of time through some unknown process, creating grotesque hybrids of organic bone and inorganic stone that suggested these beings had died in the chambers and been slowly incorporated into the moon's geological structure itself. Carbon dating proved impossible due to the specimen's complete fusion with lunar material, but stratigraphic analysis placed the remains within the same general time frame as the monument construction. These beings, whatever they had been, were clearly the original builders, and they had chosen to remain with their creation rather than return to wherever they had originated. They stayed behind, Carter whispered to himself while studying the fused remains. When their people left, these individuals volunteered to remain with the beacon, to operate it and maintain it until whatever they were calling finally arrived. The chamber walls throughout the complex bore detailed engravings that challenged Carter's grip on historical reality. The artwork depicted the construction of the stone circle by the tall, elongated figures directing smaller, more human-like workers in massive construction projects that transformed the entire crater into a technological installation. The scene showed Earth hanging in the lunar sky, but with continental configurations that predated known geological periods by millions of years. Most unsettling were the final sequence of panels, which showed the tall beings sealing themselves voluntarily within the underground chambers, while the human-like figures departed in primitive spacecraft towards Earth, as if some planned separation had divided two populations that had previously worked together as a single civilization. They were colonists, Carter realized with growing horror, two species sharing this solar system temporarily, working together to build the beacon system, then separating when the construction was complete. The tall ones stayed to operate their cosmic lighthouse while the others went to Earth and gradually evolved into us. As the 14-day lunar night approached, bringing with it the deep cold and absolute darkness of the moon's hidden side, the stone circle began exhibiting behavior that violated every known law of physics and engineering. The monument started vibrating at frequencies far beyond human hearing, creating ultrasonic waves that lifted lunar dust from the surface and sent it streaming into space in perfect geometric patterns that resembled massive three-dimensional mandala designs. The vibrations followed the exact rhythm as the artificial pulsar signals Torres had been monitoring, as if the entire structure was resonating in direct response to increasingly powerful cosmic transmissions originating from the direction of PSRB 1257 plus 12. Carter's equipment began detecting electromagnetic anomalies that challenged his understanding of what was possible. The stone circle was generating its own powerful magnetic field, one that pulsed in perfect synchronization with the underground vibrations and the interstellar signals. Power consumption readings suggested the monuments were somehow drawing enormous amounts of energy from sources buried deep in the moon's core, tapping into gravitational, magnetic, and possibly quantum forces that human science was only beginning to understand. They built something that transcends what we think of as a machine, Carter realized during his final coherent scientific analysis. The entire crater, the monuments, the chambers, the preserved operators, even the moon's position relative to Earth, everything is part of one massive mechanism designed to amplify signals and provide navigation guidance across interstellar distances. The beacon's awakening coincided with astronomical alignments that occurred only once every 26,000 years, when specific pulsars, Earth and the Moon, achieved geometric relationships that allowed the monument system to function at peak efficiency. As the vibrations reached peak intensity, Carter understood with crystal clarity why the chamber bones had been preserved in such specific positions. The skeletal remains weren't victims of some ancient catastrophe or accident. They were willing operators who had chosen to become permanent components of the transmission mechanism itself, their consciousness and neural patterns somehow integrated into the monument's function through technological processes that transcended biological death itself. The beacon drew its enormous power requirements from the moon's complex gravitational and magnetic interactions with Earth and the broader solar system. The ancient builders had created a self-sustaining transmission system that could operate for geological ages, powered by celestial mechanics that turn natural astronomical forces into a cosmic power source. Carter's penultimate transmission to the Odyssey, heavily distorted by the ultrasonic interference and electromagnetic chaos surrounding the fully active beacon, contained desperate calculations about the signal's ultimate destination and terrifying purpose. The beacon isn't just sending a message or announcement. His voice crackled through the static. It's providing precise navigation coordinates and landing guidance. Something has been traveling toward our solar system for 26,000 years, using pulsars as guideposts for interstellar navigation. The alignment we're witnessing represents the final approach signal, a cosmic lighthouse guiding something home. His final recording, barely audible through the electromagnetic interference that was now strong enough to affect their equipment from orbit, carried a warning that would haunt anyone who heard it. Do not respond to any signals originating from the lunar far side. Do not attempt rescue or further investigation. The beacon is calling something home, something that has been crossing the void between stars since the last ice age ended on Earth. We were never meant to find this place. We were never supposed to activate it. God help us, we were never meant to be here when they finally arrived. The crew of the Odyssey vanished during the deepest point of lunar night, when the far side faced away from both Earth and the Sun, in absolute darkness and isolation. Security cameras recorded them walking calmly out of the airlocks without environmental suits, heading toward the stone circle as if responding to some unheard summons that overrode their survival instincts. The footage showed them moving with unnatural coordination, as if their actions were being directed by external intelligence rather than individual decision-making. They walked directly into the activated beacon area, where the ultrasonic vibrations and electromagnetic fields reached lethal intensities that should have killed them instantly. But the cameras recorded them disappearing into the light and energy, rather than dying, fading from view as if they were being absorbed into the beacon system itself, perhaps to join the ancient operators who had volunteered for the same fate 26,000 years earlier. Search and rescue attempts, launched by NASA, 6 weeks later found the Odyssey in perfect operational condition, orbiting the moon exactly as programmed, with all systems functioning normally. But the ship was completely empty, with no trace of Carter, Hill, Foster, Torres, or Park anywhere aboard. More disturbing were the modifications that had been made to the communication systems. The arrays had been manually reconfigured to broadcast on the same frequency as the beacon below, and the ship's memory banks contained astronomical data that hadn't been there when the crew disappeared. Star charts showing routes between solar systems throughout this region of the galaxy. 4 months after the crew's disappearance, radio telescopes at Arecibo, the Very Large Array, and the Atacama Desert simultaneously detected a response signal broadcasting on the exact pulsar frequency that had originated from the moon's far side. But this answering transmission came from deep space, approximately 26 light-years distant in the constellation Virgo, the precise location of PSRB 1257+12. The signal exhibited characteristics that challenged everything astronomers understood about interstellar travel and communication. Doppler analysis revealed it was moving toward Earth at roughly 12% of light speed, suggesting propulsion technology that exceeded human capabilities by several orders of magnitude, while maintaining perfect trajectory control across interstellar distances. More disturbing was the signal's exponentially increasing strength as it approached the outer regions of the solar system, as if whatever was broadcasting was growing more powerful as it drew closer to its destination, or perhaps activating dormant systems as it prepared for arrival. The signal contained embedded information that defied analysis by Earth's most sophisticated computers, mathematical progressions that suggested intelligence far exceeding human capabilities, along with what appeared to be detailed navigational data showing routes between dozens of solar systems throughout this region of the Milky Way galaxy. Most unsettling were the biological signatures woven into the transmission, genetic templates that matched no known Earth species, but showed striking similarities to the elongated skeletal remains found in the lunar chambers. Government cryptographers working in the deepest levels of classified facilities around the world struggled to decode even fragments of the alien communication. What they discovered terrified them into absolute secrecy. The signal contained what appeared to be a detailed inventory of Earth's current population, atmospheric composition, and technological development level, as if the approaching entities had been monitoring humanity's progress throughout our entire evolutionary development. 5 months after initial detection, deep space tracking stations confirmed that the signal had crossed the heliopause and entered the outer solar system. Its trajectory aimed directly at the moon's far side, with navigational precision that left no doubt about its intended destination, the exact coordinates of the South Pole-Aitken Basin, where the ancient beacon continued its relentless transmission. Dr. Patricia Williams found herself at the center of humanity's first confirmed contact with extraterrestrial intelligence, a responsibility that aged her visibly as she briefed world leaders about the approaching craft. The entity, or entities, aboard appeared to be the same species that had built the lunar monuments, finally returning after a journey that had spanned 26 millennia. Based on our analysis of the signal characteristics and trajectory data, Williams explained to an emergency session of the United Nations Security Council, we estimate first contact will occur within the next 6 months. The approaching craft is actively navigating toward Earth using the moon's beacon as both destination marker and communications relay. The political implications were staggering. Humanity faced contact with beings who had possessed interstellar travel capabilities 26,000 years ago, when primitive humans were still developing basic language and tool use. These entities had seeded Earth with early human populations, then departed for the cosmic deep while leaving behind detailed landing instructions carved in stone on the moon's hidden side. Military analysts presented scenarios that ranged from benevolent reunion to colonization or conquest, but admitted they had no basis for predicting the intentions of beings whose technology exceeded human capabilities by geological ages of development. The approaching entities could sterilize Earth's biosphere with weapons humanity couldn't imagine, or they might view current humans as descendants worthy of elevation to cosmic citizenship. Deep in classified bunkers beneath Cheyenne Mountain, teams of linguists, physicists, and xenobiologists worked frantically around the clock to understand the signals that grew stronger each day. They hoped to decode the aliens' intentions before first contact occurred, but the mathematical and conceptual complexity of the transmissions exceeded human understanding at fundamental levels. The stone circle's activity reached unprecedented intensity as the approaching craft drew closer to the inner solar system. Lunar monitoring satellites detected energy emissions from the far side that approached the output of small nuclear reactors, all generated through unknown processes that tapped into the moon's internal structure and gravitational relationship with Earth. Most disturbing were the changes detected in Earth's magnetosphere and upper atmosphere. The interaction between the lunar beacon and the approaching craft was creating electromagnetic effects that influenced weather patterns, satellite communications, and even some reports of unusual psychological effects in sensitive individuals around the globe. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a NASA xenobiologist brought in to study the biological implications of first contact, made discoveries that challenged humanity's understanding of its own evolutionary history. Analysis of the genetic templates embedded in the alien signals revealed striking correlations with human DNA, not just similarities but actual genetic markers that suggested direct ancestral relationships. The evidence is overwhelming, Mitchell reported to the classified scientific committee studying the approaching craft. These entities aren't just visiting Earth, they're returning home. Humanity appears to be their genetic legacy, left behind when they departed for interstellar space 26,000 years ago. The implications reframed everything about human evolution and our place in cosmic history. Rather than developing independently through natural selection, humanity might be the result of controlled evolution, guided by entities who had always planned to return when we reach sufficient technological development to understand our true origins. 8 months after the initial detection, the alien craft entered the inner solar system and began the final phase of its approach to Earth. Deep space telescopes captured images that defied conventional understanding of spacecraft design, a structure so large it registered as a small asteroid, but with geometric features that clearly indicated artificial construction. The craft measured approximately 15 kilometers in length and possessed a crystalline structure that seemed to shift and flow like liquid while maintaining perfect structural integrity. Its surface generated its own illumination through unknown processes, creating patterns that match the mathematical progressions embedded in its radio transmissions. As the alien vessel approached lunar orbit, the stone circle's beacon reached maximum activity levels that transformed the entire far side of the moon into a cosmic lighthouse visible to radio telescopes throughout the solar system. The electromagnetic effects reached Earth's surface, causing widespread disruptions to electronic systems and creating aurora displays visible even in daylight hours. The final phase of contact began when the craft achieved lunar orbit and established a stable position directly above the South Pole-Aitken Basin. For the first time in 26,000 years, the beacon operators who had volunteered to remain with their cosmic lighthouse received confirmation that their vigil had ended successfully. Their call across the void had finally been answered. Ground-based telescopes captured the moment when smaller craft separated from the main vessel and descended toward the moon's surface. The landing vehicles moved with impossible grace through the vacuum of space, exhibiting flight characteristics that suggested complete mastery of gravitational and electromagnetic forces. The first extraterrestrial craft to land on the moon since the ancient builders departed, settled gently within the stone circle, its crystalline hull reflecting the monument's energy emissions in patterns that created a three-dimensional mandala of light visible from Earth's night side. What emerged from the craft confirmed humanity's worst fears and greatest hopes simultaneously. The beings were indeed the same species depicted in the ancient lunar carvings, tall, elongated figures with impossibly long fingers and enlarged craniums adapted for low-gravity environments and enhanced cognitive capabilities. But these were not the same individuals who had departed Earth's vicinity 26,000 years ago. These were their descendants, inheritors of a civilization that had spent millennia traveling between the stars, developing technologies and knowledge that made their ancestors' achievements seem primitive by comparison. The returning beings moved through the lunar environment with the confidence of entities returning to a carefully prepared base of operations. They activated systems within the monument complex that had remained dormant for geological ages, transforming the ancient beacon into a full-scale interstellar communication array capable of maintaining contact with dozens of other solar systems throughout the local galactic region. Their first transmissions to Earth came through every radio telescope and communication satellite simultaneously, demonstrating technological capabilities that exceeded human science by orders of magnitude. But rather than conquest or colonization, their message carried an invitation that would transform humanity's understanding of its place in cosmic civilization. The translation, achieved through mathematical principles that transcended language barriers, revealed the truth about humanity's origins and future. We return to find our children have grown wise in our absence. The time of separation ends. Join us among the stars, or remain as guardians of this world. The choice is yours to make freely. The beings who had returned were not conquerors, but parents, returning to offer their human descendants the opportunity to join a galactic civilization that spanned thousands of worlds and millions of years of accumulated knowledge. They brought gifts of technology, science, and philosophy developed during their long journey between the stars, offering to share everything they had learned with the species they had helped to create. But they also brought warning of threats that moved in the cosmic deep, other intelligences that viewed emerging civilizations as resources to be harvested rather than children to be nurtured. The beacon system they had built was not just for navigation and communication, but for defense, creating a network of early warning systems that protected developing worlds from entities that fed on technological civilizations. Dr. John Carter and his crewmates had not died during their investigation of the lunar monuments. Instead, they had been preserved within the beacon system itself, their consciousness integrated with the ancient operators who had maintained the cosmic lighthouse throughout the millennia of waiting. When the returning beings reactivated the complete system, Carter and his team emerged from their technological preservation with full memories of their experience and complete understanding of humanity's true place in galactic history. Carter's reunion with Earth came through a communication link that transcended normal radio transmission, allowing him to speak directly with NASA officials, despite being integrated with alien technology on the moon's far side. His message transformed humanity's understanding of its own purpose and destiny. "We were never alone," Carter's voice carried across the void with crystalline clarity. Earth was always part of something larger, something magnificent beyond our comprehension. The monuments we studied, the alignments we couldn't explain, the knowledge that seemed impossible for primitive peoples to possess. It was all preparation for this moment, when our creators would return to offer us citizenship in a civilization that spans the galaxy itself. The choice facing humanity represented the most significant decision in our species' history. Join the galactic civilization and gain access to knowledge, technology, and worlds beyond imagination, or remain on Earth as the guardians of our birth world, protected by the beacon network, but choosing isolation over cosmic citizenship. The returning beings made clear that neither choice carried judgment or punishment. Some species chose the stars, becoming wanderers who explored the galaxy and contributed to the vast accumulation of knowledge and experience that defined galactic civilization. Others chose to remain with their birth worlds, becoming the caretakers and guardians of entire solar systems, protecting them from threats while developing unique approaches to existence that enrich the galaxy through their diversity. The stone circle on the moon's far side continued its ancient function, but now is part of a vast network that connected thousands of worlds throughout this region of the galaxy. The beacon that had called across 26,000 years of cosmic night had fulfilled its purpose, reuniting a scattered family separated by the vast distances between stars. Earth's governments faced decisions that would determine humanity's future for millennia to come. The returning beings offered to share technologies that would eliminate scarcity, disease, and death itself, but warned that such gifts came with responsibilities that required humanity to choose its path with full understanding of the consequences. Some humans would choose to depart with the star travelers, joining crews of interstellar vessels that explored the galaxy's furthest reaches and contributed to projects that spanned centuries or millennia of development. Others would remain on Earth using advanced technologies to transform their world into a paradise while serving as guardians for the solar system and its growing network of defensive installations. The moon's far side would never again be hidden from humanity's understanding. The ancient monuments had revealed their secrets, and those secrets had connected Earth to a cosmic civilization that had waited patiently for 26,000 years for humanity to develop enough wisdom to join them among the stars. Dr. John Carter's archaeological expertise had prepared him for many discoveries, but not for learning that every ancient site he had studied was part of a vast communication network designed to guide humanity towards this moment of choice. The megalithic monuments of Earth, the astronomical alignments that had puzzled researchers for centuries, the mathematical precision that seemed impossible for primitive peoples, all had been preparation for humanity's graduation from planetary childhood to galactic citizenship. The far side of the moon no longer kept its secrets, and neither would humanity remain isolated in cosmic ignorance. The beacon had called across the void. The call had been answered, and the long separation was finally ending. Whether humanity would choose the path of the stars or the path of the Guardian remained to be decided, but either choice would be made with full knowledge of what lay beyond the darkness between worlds. The transmission from the stars had reached its destination, the ancient promise had been fulfilled, and humanity stood at the threshold of a future that would either carry them to distant suns or establish them as the protectors of this corner of galactic space. The choice was humanity's to make, but the isolation that had defined human existence since the dawn of civilization was ending forever. The beacon on the moon's far side continued to pulse with energy, drawn from cosmic forces beyond human understanding, no longer calling across the void, but serving as humanity's first permanent connection to the vast community of intelligence that populated the galaxy. The long night of cosmic loneliness was ending, and the dawn of humanity's true history was just beginning. In the years that followed first contact, Earth transformed in ways that fulfilled humanity's greatest dreams while preserving the unique characteristics that had made human civilization worthy of galactic citizenship. Some humans departed for the stars, their consciousness enhanced and their lifespans extended to match the geological scales of interstellar exploration. Others remained on Earth, using advanced technologies to heal their world and establish it as a beacon of biological diversity and cultural creativity that enriched the entire galactic community. The stone circle on the moon became humanity's first embassy to the stars, a permanent installation where human and alien researchers worked together to expand the network of protective beacons that shielded developing civilizations from cosmic threats. Dr. Carter, transformed by his integration with alien technology but retaining his essential humanity, served as Earth's first ambassador to the galactic civilization, bridging the gap between human understanding and cosmic reality. The mysteries that had driven Carter's entire career, the impossible precision of ancient monuments, the astronomical knowledge that seemed beyond primitive capabilities, the mathematical relationships that connected stone circles across continents and cultures, had all been pieces of a vast puzzle designed to prepare humanity for this moment of cosmic reunion. The far side of the moon would forever remain humanity's reminder of how much remained unknown in the universe, but never again would Earth's inhabitants face that cosmic darkness alone. The beacon had served its purpose, the ancient promise had been fulfilled, and humanity had finally come home to its place among the stars. The transmission that had crossed 26,000 years of space and time had delivered its message, and that message was simple. The children left behind had grown wise enough to rejoin their family among the infinite wonders of the galactic community. The long isolation was ending, and humanity's true adventure among the stars was just beginning.